And time now for the press review. And for that, I'm joined in the studio by none other than Alison Sargent. Hello, Alison.
Hi, Annette.
We're going to start with the war of words between the French and Turkish presidents over France's crackdown on radical Islam.
Sorry, France's right-wing paper Le Figaro having the strongest reaction to this today. On their front page, they accuse Erdogan of mobilizing Islamists against France. This crackdown came in the wake of that brutal beheading of French teacher Samuel Paty, and it's a murder that Le Figaro says Erdogan is condoning with his silence. The paper has some very strong words in its editorial today. They write that the Turkish president is constantly in need of creating new crises to distract from his own economic and democratic failures. Le Figaro also calls on other Western democracies to side with France, writing, "The tricolor flag being burned is not the flag of France, but the flag of liberty."
And in no surprise, there's a very different story when you take a look at the Turkish press, with nationalist papers sitting firmly on the side of their president.
That's right. Two nationalist papers had very similar articles, not only siding with President Erdogan, but also taking aim at a third country, Saudi Arabia. One headline here reads, "That's enough. Saudi Arabia supports the enemy of Islam, Emmanuel Macron." And the other headline talks about a silent betrayal and calls out not only Saudi Arabia, but also the UAE for not participating in this movement to boycott French products. Meanwhile, there's an analysis from pan-Arab paper Al Arab that writes that geopolitics is really what this is all about, not religion. The paper says there are a number of geopolitical issues on which France and Turkey are very much at odds. For the paper, the most important is the situation in Libya, where France and Turkey support rival sides. Turkey supports the UN-backed government, while France is accused of supporting the forces of General Khalifa Haftar.
Heading now to Chile for some reactions after the country voted overwhelmingly in favour of rewriting the constitution.
That's right, over 78% in favour. That number is writ large on the front page of Chilean paper La Tercera. We also see an image there of the massive celebrations that broke out after the result was announced. Now, the paper has an article analysing the breakdown of the vote. They found that younger, poorer voters were more likely to favour rewriting this constitution, which dates to the military dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet. The paper reports that women were also more likely to support the rewrite. Now, that may be because Chile's new constitution is going to be the very first in the world to be written by a body made up equally of men and women. A law passed back in March ensures that the Constitutional Assembly that will draft the new constitution is going to adhere to gender parity. A Chilean website, El Mostrador, expects it to be a constitution with a gender perspective, they say, enshrining the rights and dignity of women.
Well, hurrah for that, says the host of the 51%. OK, heading now to the UK, to an extraordinary story, because the government there is under fire for not extending school lunch vouchers to deprived families during the holidays.
That's right, Annette. That decision has been met with huge public outcry. We read on the front page of The Guardian that Conservative MPs are actually now wanting to backtrack on their vote. One senior Conservative MP said that the government had misunderstood the mood of the country. Since the start of the pandemic, there's actually a football player, Marcus Rashford, who's really been leading this push to lobby for vouchers to be made available, a huge anti-hunger campaign. And the left-wing tabloid The Daily Mirror has named him the pride of Britain. They also note that Boris Johnson is under pressure to meet with Rashford to discuss the issue. The Independent's cartoonist Brian Adcock has sort of imagined that meeting. In this cartoon, he depicts Boris Johnson as Marie Antoinette, a rather unflattering image, except instead of the famous phrase, "let them eat cake," he's saying, "let them eat Tory ideology."
Oh, OK. So the UK government potentially looking to backtrack on its policy. And this last story is also about the American government backtracking on a COVID-19 policy. The Trump administration has scrapped plans to administer the vaccine to department store Santa Claus. Of course, this in the run-up to the Christmas holiday period.
That's right, Annette. Now, this story was first revealed by the Wall Street Journal. It's been picked up by a number of other media outlets. The Trump administration planned to give department store Santa Clauses, as well as elves and Mrs. Clauses, early access to the vaccine in exchange for their help promoting vaccination to the public. A Health and Human Services Department official reportedly referred to them as essential workers. As we read in the Daily Beast, it was all part of this PR campaign that was to be funded by $250 million of taxpayer money. The whole campaign is reportedly now being reviewed. It reportedly started to fizzle when a number of celebrities pulled out amid concerns that it was all politicizing public health.
Okay, interesting indeed. Thanks for that, Alison Sargent.